Hello, I'm Susan Green. I'm Associate Curator of Special Collections, Archives, and Research at the Philbrook Museum of Art, and I am so glad that you have joined me today. Staff, of course, is working from home, but I can't tell you how much that I miss our galleries, miss my friends and colleagues, miss working at Philbrook. So today, while we're taking care of ourselves and our community by working from home, I thought you might want to join me and explore a room. So we're going to explore a room in Villa Philbrook, look at historic photographs, look at what it looks like today, and get some insider information about the space. So without further ado, we'll start. I'm going to share some images. Okay, here we go. So imagine you are at Philbrook. You've come to explore the museum. So you've come into the space. You walk into the Great Hall, it opens up, it's so ornate, decorated with plasterwork and painted ceilings, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna walk down the hall and we're gonna go to the end of the hall there. So there's this wonderful archway, doorway, and that's the space we're going. So we're gonna go to the Sunroom, which is our next, the room at the end of the hall. So this is the Sunroom. This is, really meant to be a casual space for the family. But let's look at the architectural details. So we look through this archway, perfectly inset into the end of the wall is a garden fountain. So this fountain was built for the Phillips family by architect Edward Buehler-Delk and the craftsman who built Philbrook. And it was made specifically for this sculpture by Harriet Whitney Frischmuth, Joy of the Water. So there's this wonderful woman, a bronze sculpture. She's leaping out of the water as water kind of tickles her toes in this really joyful pose. It's a pose of that references dance, references music, and thinking about the water as it comes out of this fountain, almost sounding like music itself. So we have the sculpture, but today we're really going to explore the floor. So look, under the sculpture, there's this floor. In our image, it looks kind of gray, green, blue, and so let's step into the room and kind of look at the floor a little bit further. So here we are in the gallery, again, this glass floor. It's made out of glass blocks with leading, and it's surrounded by this warm travertine stone around the perimeter. Of course, in the gallery today, we have works by Italian Renaissance masters as part of our Italian Renaissance collection. We're really gonna look at the historical architectural details today. So this floor, why was it here? What was it original to the villa? Was it original to this room? And it was. So this space, of course, it's a space that we like to gather in. We like to bring our tour groups. It's a wonderful space to sit and to enjoy, to talk, to look at the artwork, and to look at the villa itself. And so this is one of our wonderful docents giving a tour to a group of children. I will say that the space, especially when you're sitting on the dance floor, is incredibly echoey. The acoustics are so crazy in the space because of all of these hard surfaces. But it's still a really fun, it's one of our favorite spaces in the museum. But what did it look like when the Phillips family lived there? And so that's what I'm going to get to show you today. So in 1926, 1927, the Phillips family built Villa Philbrook with the help of architect Edward Buehler-Delk and multiple contractors and craftsmen. And so here we have the front facade of Villa Philbrook, and on the left of your screen at the end of the building, just before you get to the sort of perpendicular area on the lowest level, on the main level at the far end, far south end, is this space. And this is what it looked like when the Phillips family lived in the home. I should say we're really lucky that while the Phillips family lived at Philbrook, they commissioned a photographer a couple of times to come in and take photographs of the public spaces. So we're able to know what these public spaces looked like when the Phillips family lived in Villa Philbrook. So here we have the Sunroom. So this is a space of light, of music, of dance, of air coming through. We have the sculpture at the end of the room and the water flowing in the fountain. So you have the music of the water. we also have series of these series of doors, French doors and some pocket doors that open up into the gardens. This is the last room at the end of the house on the south side. And the villa, when it was built, it had central heat, but it didn't have central air. So you would want to capture the breezes in the heat of the summer or on beautiful spring or fall days. So you could open up the doors, these French doors, and you could get the breeze from the gardens coming through the space, getting that breeze when you're in this room. So imagine if it were right now, we have the wonderful flowers blooming. We won't think about the pollen, but think about being able to smell the flowers as the breeze comes up from the garden. So the doors are open, the light is flowing in, and if you'll notice on either side of this room, there are actually two mirrors. So not only do you have the light coming in from the doors, you also have light bouncing back and forth because of these mirrors. And if you stood looking into one of the mirrors, it essentially became an infinity effect. So you could stand and look at the mirror, it would reflect the mirror behind on the other wall, and you could see your front and your back, and it was as if you were standing in this infinite room, series of rooms. So the light is bouncing around, it's light, it's airy, it's a connection to the gardens. And we're really lucky that the Phillips family is Wade Phillips, his wife Genevieve Phillips, and their children, Helen Jane, who's the elder child, and Elliot Phillips. And Elliot remembered, he told us that this was one of the family's favorite rooms. It was a really welcoming, light, airy space. And it was a space that the family gathered. So this was a favorite room. The couches were yellow, the light. Of course, they always had plants in the room. I love these palm trees at the end of the space and the ivy and the torchieres. So it's a space to gather as a family. It was also, if you think about, I told you how echoey that space was. It looked like this some of the time, but some of the time it also looked like this. So there was a rug. This rug, it makes absolute sense. You would need a rug to kind of soften the space a little bit and also absorb some of the sound so you wouldn't have that echoey effect. And Elliot Phillips related to us that the family had this rug made for the sunroom, and it was made from the fleece of Angora goats that they raised on one of their ranches for a short period of time. So this is an Angora goat rug. The fleece, Angora goat fleece is mohair. So think about how wonderful that would feel. So if you're barefoot, you're stepping on the cool travertine stone, and then you walk onto the rug and that plush feel of the mohair. So it's this wonderful welcoming space. But there's this floor underneath, and it is in fact a dance floor. So we understand from Elliot that, and we're going to go to our next photograph, in the corner of this room you see a piece of furniture, sort of looks like a cabinet, and this is a phonograph. So an early record player, and apparently this was the top line phonograph. It even changed records, so it was the height of technology for 1927. And again, this is a favorite room. The family apparently loved music. Of course, we have the organ, we have a whole music room right next door to this space, but we also have a phonograph in this space so that they could hear the most cutting edge music from the 1920s, 1930s. So Elliot related that they would be in the room, they would put on a record, and they would dance. And this, in fact, is a dance floor. So let's go back and see our dance floor here. Elliot told us that when he was about 11 or 12, his sister, Helen Jane, taught him to dance in this room. They would literally roll back the rug, and there's this fantastic glass floor to dance on. And it wasn't just a glass floor, it was a light up glass floor. So there are lights below that light up the floor, almost like a disco floor. And there's this wonderful legend that goes along with this floor. While we don't have any written documentation about it, we have this wonderful oral history that Genevieve Phillips, the family took a trip to Europe, And Genevieve Phillips visited a nightclub or a restaurant that had a light up dance floor. And she just had to have one. So she telegraphed back to the architect, Edward Delk, and said, please help me build this dance floor into the plan so I can have a light up dance floor. And Elliot's wife, Virginia, so Genevieve's daughter-in-law, related to us also that Genevieve loved to dance. Not only did the family love music, they loved to dance. And Virginia said that Genevieve would dance at the drop of a hat. So I can see how including a dance floor in their home was really important to Genevieve. So there is this dance floor that's constructed, and all of our architectural plans from the very earliest plans that we have include this dance floor as part of the sunroom. So we have this wonderful space, and we have the idea of the lights changing. So there's lights below that shine up through the floor, and the lights change. So there's multiple colors of lights that change. So for that, to understand how the lights worked, we need to go back to our current photograph so we can get the color in. So this is what the floor looks like today when the lights are on. So there's our sculpture, our gallery, our floor, but instead of a gray blue floor, when the lights are on, there is this wonderful color wash in the room. And so we have a series of colors. There are actually 4 colors. So we have the blue, and here we are looking through our arched doorway again. So we have the blue. We also have this wonderful green, a red, and an amber. So the colors flash and change, cycle through these colors: blue, red, aqua, amber. So you get this great vibrancy of feeling, an energy of movement as the lights change through. The way it's engineered is that there's also the option to turn the lights on in quadrants and to leave them on, or to change, to put on a series of colors. So you might put on the blue and the red, and then together it washes and makes a lovely purple, or the red and the amber, and it comes together to be a beautiful orange. So you can really play with the colors of the floor. So we have these colors that the floor can change, but we have a question. One of our most commonly asked questions is, how do you change the light bulbs in the dance floor? And I'm going to show you today. So if you were to go to our lower level, there is sort of an innocuous door kind of hidden to the side. It's locked to the public, but it is one of our access spaces for our engineers. If you were to go through that door, it opens up into a large room that was originally the coal room and then the boiler room for the villa. So the heating system was a coal-fired boiler. So we have this large, almost bunker of a room. It's Villa Philbrook is built incredibly soundly. They're poured concrete walls. So it's this poured concrete room, and over to the side, there's sort of a hatch, a crawl space. And if you were to climb up this ladder that's attached to the wall, kind of climb up, shimmy around 90 degrees, and then you go into a crawl space, and you have to kind of army crawl under a series of ductwork. So you have to be a very nimble staff person to do this. So you're nimble and you're crawling through the floor space. You turn a corner. You're able to lift up a little bit. It's a crawl space, but it has a higher ceiling, maybe 4 feet or so, so you can kind of hunch down and walk. It's dark. It's a crawl space, but it surrounds a concrete box room. And this concrete box, there's a doorway, and if you were to go into the doorway and look in, this is what you would see. This is directly under the dance floor. So as you see, we have this concrete box room. Above us are the glass blocks supported by steel horizontal steel supports horizontally and posts vertically, so it's really strong and secure. And then under that are blocks on which are placed a series of light bulbs, light fixtures and bulbs. So for our engineers who need to go in and either work, do some electrical work on the dance floor or change those pesky light bulbs, this is what they, this is their working space. And I will say that the crawl space is so dark and kind of cramped, and you don't know, it's disorienting, but when you walk into the space, it is awash with light. The ambient light from the gallery above, it is a space of, it feels open, it feels full of light, just like the gallery above. And so I love to think about the dances that happened with the family above. And of course, the dance floor is a place of celebration. And so here is a historic photograph. So in 1938, the Phillips family decided to give their home away to become Tulsa's first museum. And in 1939, we had our opening party. And this, of course, is the sunroom. You can see our sculpture, Joy of the Waters, right behind the group. They're standing on the dance floor, which does not have a rug at this moment. And in the center, wearing the embroidered jacket, is Helen Jane Phillips Breckenridge. So Helen Jane, the daughter of the family. And she's laughing and visiting with her friends and her brother. Elliot is also in the photograph, so he's on the left. Unfortunately, his back is kind of turned to us, but you can see he's the man closest to us on the left. So that's Elliot. And they were there, Elliot and Helen Jane were there to celebrate the opening of Philbrook as a museum, as a place for the Tulsa community. So it's been from the beginning this place of celebration. So as you are in your homes, while we're social distancing, I've seen some fantastic videos of people dancing in their living rooms, dancing in their homes, dancing outside, even in hallways and bedrooms. And so I think that this space is really fun to talk about today as we think about dancing and celebration in a space. And you may dance in your living room and you may post to TikTok. You may dance in your living room and you may do it just totally solo, only for yourself. But think about that. Think about the family dancing in our sunroom. Think about all of our school groups that come through and do a twirl on our dance floor, and think about the celebrations that have happened on our dance floor. And we hope that once we're back open, once we can welcome the public back to Philbrook again, that you'll come to Philbrook and you'll celebrate on the dance floor with us. And we hope that you come, you dance on the floor, wear whatever clothes that you want to wear. Here, we have a guest who wore this wonderful spangly dress. Dance and pose and show us your photographs of dancing on the dance floor. And so we can all celebrate together. So with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me for this virtual talk. We'll come back multiple times through the period, several times a week, something every day from Philbrook, whether from the gardens or from the galleries or from home with our kids' art projects. So join us back on social media, and then join us back when we're back open to the public. So thank you guys for joining me today on our exploration of our sunroom and our dance floor. I hope to see you next time. And until then, stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.